right now. Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, Josh Heller, thanks very much. Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside the Fan Cave. Bob Pompeani here with you until 11 o'clock at 412-575-2600. Joining me, as always, on Wednesday is Chris Mueller from the PM team over at 93.7 The Fan. And, Chris, we got the news today that a lot of fans didn't want to hear, certainly, that Sidney Crosby is going to be out now for better part of a month here, which is interesting how it all played out. I don't think there was any question that he wanted to play in that gold medal game, but I really didn't think there was much of a chance given that injury. They played it up in a way that a lot of hockey teams do. They don't give you a lot of information, just tell you they're working on it. But I expected him to miss some time. I don't know if I expected him to miss a month, because I thought anytime you're dealing with some sort of a grade of an MCL, it's going to be a couple of games or weeks, but not a month. Your thoughts?
Well, two things that one thing Crosby said is incongruent with the 4 weeks and maybe a little bit longer. I mean, he made it seem like he was much closer than he thought he would be to having a chance to actually play in the gold medal game. Well, then it's tough for me then to reconcile, hey, I was much closer than I thought, implying he was actually pretty close to playing, just didn't quite get over the hump, with, oh, now that he's back stateside, he's going to be out for a month. So I don't also really know what saying that you were close to playing in the game does to further the cause, like how that would have helped you or anything else. So I think it's curious. Like, was he going to play through pain and get an injection or something like that and decided against it, and now he needs time to actually rest and let this thing heal up? It's a strange confluence of two sort of seemingly different schools of thought or different kind of tracks that this injury seemed to be running on, and now their season, I think, is really in jeopardy. He was still playing at a point-per-game pace, and it's likely that they're going to lose him for about 15 games, Bob.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it comes at a time when they have decisions to make at the trade deadline, which comes up next week. So March the 6th will be here before you know it. They've done well in their division. They still have some point lead over a lot of different teams, and they also have games in hand. But they have some guys out there who may be available to you. And I brought this up today to Joe on the show, is a guy like Vincent Trocheck, only because the Rangers seem to have thrown in the white tile. They've already traded Panarin. Would they do the same with him? He's got time left on a contract. So does Nazem Kadri. There are centers. There's some defensemen out there. I don't know what the plan might have been if Crosby was healthy, but now that he's not, what do you think they'll do, if anything?
Probably the same thing they would have done if he's healthy, if he was healthy, which is I still think they want a right-shot defenseman, a little extra depth. I think every team that's contending is always looking for those guys who are second or third pair, mainly third pair defensemen who can chew up minutes and play responsible hockey. I just have a feeling that Kyle Dubas is not going to change course and wasn't really going to sell the farm to try to augment this team anyway, even with a healthy Crosby. I think he was going to try to make a move here, move there, like the one we just saw that got Samuel Girard, not the guy from The Fugitive, but defenseman for defenseman trade. I think that's what they're going to try to do. I do think that there's a long-term plan there. I don't think Kyle Dubas, with all that he's done to try to stockpile picks, wants to blow that up for a team that looks good but not great. And I think they're just going to try to weather this storm. There is one thing to keep in mind with all of this, like as far as how do they handle the deadline and how do they handle just not having Crosby for that many games. Historically, Evgeny Malkin plays at an unbelievably high level when he's the alpha dog and when there's no running buddy in the form of Sidney Crosby out there. He is 39, though, Bob, and so can you realistically expect a guy who has often picked up that torch and sprinted with it to do the same when he's in probably the twilight of his NHL career, even though he doesn't look like it right now? The only other silver lining is that he got 3 weeks off with a shoulder that I think was still banged up, and so you'd hope he would come out of this break flying tomorrow night.
Yeah, no question. It's going to be interesting to see, and they got some games this week they should be able to win based on where these teams are in the standings. The Devils haven't been very good, and the Rangers are what they are this year. If they could win those games, now they build up a little bit more cushion so they can figure out what to do next. And it could involve goaltenders. Who knows? We'll talk about that. We want your calls at 412-575-2600. Also tonight, you see our KDKA.com/connect poll of the night brought to you by Penn West University. If you could sign one Pirate to an 8-year extension, who would it be? I think Andrew put that out. We like that, so we took it for our poll of the night here tonight, Chris. Would it be Connor Griffin? Would it be Paul Skeens? We'll get your answer and the answer to those who want to call and and answer it. It's an interesting question. You got two potentially, generational type talents here. Which one? A guy who plays every day or the stud pitcher? We'll get into that. We'll also tell you about some college basketball tonight that involved all three local teams in action, all coming up. We want your calls right now, though, at 412-575-2600. It's the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call right here on KDKA+. All right, welcome back. This is our Xfinity tweet of the night from Bob Grove, Penguin historian. And he's been on all these things. It's unbelievable when you look at this one. How about the Penguins' record during Sid's longest absences? 61 games, they went 34-19-8 in 40-26-4. I mean, all of these are, to me, unthinkable. If you talk about losing your best player and then yet their win percentage goes up into the 600s and some in 700 percentage. That's just, it's crazy to me. We talked about it with Chris earlier, but that's what they've been able to do. And I do think this team plays under Dan Muse, Chris, a different way that we saw under Mike Sullivan. So they have played almost the same kind of hockey all year, with or without Sidney, or with or without any significant player who missed time. They're in a lot of games. They keep the shot totals low for the opposition. They know how to play 200 feet of hockey, and their special teams have been good. They're going to have to ramp up on each of those moving forward, though.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we always used to talk about when Crosby would miss time or when Malkin would miss time and they were just down one of their big stars was they did seem to play a more cohesive team game. And this is going back multiple coaches. They would play a more buttoned-up style of hockey. You'd hear people talk, oh, this is the game their coach wants them to be playing, and they just can't make themselves do it when all their offensive talent is here. You're right, though. Under Dan Muse, they've played just a more structured game almost all the time. Yeah, it does make me wonder, by the way, we're just talking about how they are in the playoff race. If they had just finished off some of those third period leads that they inexplicably were blowing up and then could get anything done in overtime or the shootout especially, they'd be in a much more comfy position. The one good thing is here, Bob, they have rolled four lines consistently all year. Like, they have not been shy about putting their fourth line out in big-time situations. And so I think the fact that they've got, 50, almost 60 games now of playing a certain way where all four lines know they're going to contribute is going to probably help them weather this storm a little bit. I think Ben Kindle also being very precocious as a teenager is helping them get depth that they didn't think they would have down the middle of this lineup.
Totally right. And when you have a Lizotte, Chari and Connor Dewar, they've been one of their better lines. I think Mantha and Brazeau with Kindle have been good. Novak's been good. They got a lot of people there, so we'll see how they can do, and they may add something as we go. Real quick before we go to the lines at 412-575-2600, if you could sign one Pirate to an 8-year extension, Connor Griffin, Paul Skeens. First of all, we know that Paul Skeens has become almost a guaranteed tremendous pitcher year in and year out. He's won Rookie of the Year. He's won the Cy Young. We don't know all that much about Connor Griffin other than he's 19 and he's putting on a show as he did yesterday. My choice would be Connor Griffin, only because I want to see somebody 5 days a week. I understand how important that pitcher is. It's a tough choice. Who do you like?
I ultimately go to Griffin. It's a very tough choice because Paul Skeens is a known commodity. He just is.
Right.
Like you said it right there. He's the best pitcher in baseball, and there's every reason to believe that well past the point where he's not on the Pirates anymore, he'll still be the best pitcher in baseball. And he has relatively little wear and tear on his arm compared to a lot of other young pitchers who've been pitchers their whole lives. He really hasn't been. So it's tempting, Bob, from that perspective, but man, if you tell me Griffin, even if you don't tell me Griffin's going to be Mike Trout just at shortstop, like I have to default to him because he could play 155 games. So think about his athletic profile, okay? Here's the exercise I gave to Pony on the air when he presented it. It was a very good question, although I think it was his buddy out of Philadelphia's question. So Pony is technically taking it from him, and you guys are taking it from Pony. So this is like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon for a question. I said, Pony, if Connor Griffin is who people think he is, he's basically Alex Rodriguez circa like 1996 or 97, a teenager or a guy barely 20 years old or whatever, right, who looks like the next big thing in baseball. We know what A-Rod became, regardless of what you think about his later career exploits or whatever. If you like teleported 20-year-old A-Rod into modern baseball and said he's on the open market, how much would he get? I think the answer would be close to $1 billion, literally. Capital B, billion. A shortstop with that kind of power, that kind of range, that athletic ability, all those tools at that position, he'd get $1 billion or close to it. So I think through that prism, I would roll the dice on Griffin, even though we've never actually seen him hit a major league pitch in a game that counted.
Right. And you have to take that into account. But if he is what we think he is, then that's going to be an interesting choice. Go to the lines here. South Park is our first destination. We got Jeff joining us on line 1. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Horribly depressed. How are you, Bob?
Yeah, depressed. I mean, what are you going to do?
This is PM Team number 2 fan, Jeff in South Park. He did not talk to us today, but he is in a spiral right now, Bob.
Right.
I can already telegraph where this call is going to
but
go.
You should
Jeff,
be encouraged by the way they've been playing, though, Jeff.
Well, I obviously was, and I thought that this was going to be a very magical season, but it is very much heading down the tubes fast. I love the fact that we keep citing how Malkin would always take over when Sid was hurt in the past, but he's 39 years old, and I mean, I don't know, man, but like, it's interesting though, if you want to think about this long term, and how Malkin's not under contract for next year. If Sid does not come back healthy this year, yes, we anticipate he'll be back in a month, but let's say the injury doesn't cooperate and they fall out of playoff contention, and he just doesn't come back, or he comes back when it's too late and they don't have a playoff run. I don't know. Does that guarantee that Malkin will sign a one-year deal for next year because they want to get back in the postseason one last time together?
I think Malkin is highly motivated to return based on a lot of his recent comments, and I think his play has indicated that he, when he's out there and he hasn't, before he got banged up a little bit, he was playing at a pretty high level still. So maybe he's just realizing the end is near, and you know how sometimes, Chris, when that happens, you want to suck as much out of it as you can, enjoy the ride. Maybe he wants that ride to extend a little bit more.
I don't know. I think he's playing like a guy, like you said it in there, that is motivated to show that that Crosby's not just the only guy defying Father Time. And Malkin's obviously got a lot more wear and tear, I think, on his body. We know Crosby with the concussions, but like torn ACLs for Malkin, a torn ACL, just getting banged up more regularly and missing more time. But he's played 41 games. He's got 44 points. He hasn't had maybe the goal total you would think. It's 13 goals, 31 helpers, but man, he's playing like somebody that looks like he could go another year. Maybe with him you'd go year to year and just keep doing one-year deals, but he's playing like a guy that absolutely looks like somebody that's still, a top, I don't know, I make the top 100 joke all the time, still like a top 75-ish player right now in the NHL. So when you have a guy that still is playing at that level, even at his age, I think you have to take seriously the fact that you would bring him back around. They're playing like a motivated bunch, and he's certainly a huge part of that.
We got some X comments here on Twitter. Debbie Costantino says, just seeing this during the nightly sports call, agree with you guys about Trocheck. Think he'd be a good fit. Kadri would be good, but his age might be too much. Big contract. Well, Kadri's 35. I think Trocheck is 32. They both make $5 to $7 million in that range. So whatever the case, they have a lot of money to spend. If the Penguins want to do it, they can. We also have Robert Jameson, who says if Connor Griffin rips it off in this spring training and the Pirates offer him a contract, would it be similar to that of Roman Anthony in Boston? It could be, maybe more. The way things go, the longer you wait, the more it costs you. So that's an interesting comparison. He came up last year as the #1 prospect in baseball at the time, and that's exactly what Connor Griffin is. Back to the lines, we got Steve in Brookline. Go ahead, Steve.
Hey, Pomp. You're a legend, first of all. Love you. Malty, you were super accommodating when I met you out at the Next Up on the Fan event at Upper St. Clair. Just had to get that out there.
Thank you.
Yep, I just wanted to touch on which young Pirate to sign long term. I mean, the real answer is both if we lived in a real baseball market, but
Correct.
Since we don't, Paul Skeens, no matter what, is going to price himself out of here, whether there's a cap or not. And Malzy, this is the time to use the everyday player argument like you did during the Dylan Cruz draft. It's Connor because, A, he's going to be cheaper. He affects your team on a day-to-day basis. And the elephant in the room people don't want to talk about is at any given moment, even though he's not built this way, Paul Skeens' elbow could go at any moment. I know he's not built that way, but it could happen at any moment. So as far as ROI is concerned, I think it makes sense to offer something to Griffin.
Chris?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a pretty compelling argument. No one, like Steve said, no one wants to think this way, but any pitcher you give that money to, Jacob deGrom being a pretty recent example, you just have no idea what you're going to get. And position players are ultimately more valuable in the open market. I think the highest paid position player is Juan Soto, and he's making something in the neighborhood of $51 million a year annually. I think Zach Wheeler is in the mid-40s. So if you have somebody that you think, and this is not hyperbole with the way Connor Griffin's getting talked about, could be the best player in baseball, not named Shohei Ohtani, within, 2 years if he's on the Mike Trout training plan? If you could get that guy for even like $25 million a year would be a laughable bargain. It's just like talking about a quarterback in the NFL. If you get Malik Willis for $35 million and he turns out that he's really, really good, like a top 8 quarterback, then that's a hilarious bargain for however long you've got him there.
Yep. We got to take a break. When I come back, I'm going to talk to you about ABS challenge system in baseball. So far, it's proven that the umpires are wrong an awful lot. We'll get into that and more as we continue right here on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, KDKA Plus, and on most nights, 93.7 The Fan. All right, welcome back. Chris, I want to show you something. This is ABS challenge system from yesterday's game, the Pirates and the Red Sox, and this became almost every other pitch.
And the thing of it is, it's like you can't not use it if you have the technology and you trust the technology too. So I would say it's incumbent on the umps to get it better. Bob, very quickly, I know we got to run. Remember Patrick Steffen? He goes in on an empty net against the Edmonton Oilers years ago, completely blows a tire, they tie the game. Jake Gensel had the same thing happen to him tonight. Now, it did not kill them as badly because they were up 3-0 with like 4 minutes left in the third, and Toronto had pulled the goalie. Hits the post on a wide-open net. Maple Leafs go down and score. You will get a huge kick out of it when you go find this.
I'm going to have to check that out for sure. All right, Chris, thanks very much as always. Look forward to doing it tomorrow night, and that's going to do it for our program. Thank you for joining us. We'll do it in, as I said, 10:35 is the start time every single night right here for the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Have a good night.